Welcome to day, I don't know, of me making a Fatman. It has been so long, I have in fact forgotten what day it is. Mostly I'm lazy and couldn't be bothered to look it up. I think it's like day 16, something like that. You know, we know. It's either 13 or 14, I think. Right, so last time I discovered that, well, I painted this and it just doesn't look the right colour. It looks vaguely green to me here, and this is very yellow. I mean, look at the difference in the two. And that camera is not showing up what they look like properly at all, or at least on my display. So I guess it just doesn't like yellows. So I was going to put white underneath, but the white I've been using is really weak and really like soft colour and see-through. That's because it is mixing white. So it's not designed to turn the thing white, it's designed to slightly lighten things you mix it into. There's the prop one. So first up today is proper white, which I'm going to go over that tank with. I don't need too much of it, it's just one layer over the tank, but this would probably have done better there and under there if I had have used that instead. My bad. Oh no, we're only doing like two or one big area today, so it's like this pipe is the biggest thing I'm painting today. So as you can see, that's actually changing colour now, unlike before where it wasn't. And ultimately what I need to do is change the colour of that pipe or that tube to be proper yellow. I need to put a bit more chrome colour, well, silver on that, it appears. Also, this layering isn't an intentional thing, this is I completely cocked it up and need to go back and correct thing. So yeah, sorry about that. Oh wow, okay, I am getting this white everywhere. I mean, the yellow wasn't so bad. And no, I'm not going to do multiple layers of this white. This is just like a one. It's like a base coat, just for the sake of doing a base coat. I don't know what I'm going to claim that mess is, but suffice to say, I'll think of something and I should have taken that out of my hand. But no, because it's base coat, it doesn't need to be done repeatedly. So we're okay. I mean, I'm not just going to chuck it out just in case, because with that, we now have a white tank on the side, which give that a bit to dry, and it'll turn into a lovely yellow tank. So, I'm going to leave that up there to dry, and, well, the next step is a bit of distressing. Not a bit distressing, a bit of distressing. Which I'm going to do on the mini nukes because well, I'm in a mood to do it. So if you come here, I just have a sponge with the scour on top. And it's going to pick up a small amount of paint on it, and it's like you don't need to pick up much paint, it's just enough to get like a bit on there. And so it is barely anything, it's just a tiny little bit. Then you just go around the high spots like this. To be fair, when doing this, I prefer to go into the flatter bits. And it's like anywhere where it would have rolled on a surface like that, because you can see the little bits of silver line drawing up on it now. That camera really does overstate the amount of like silver I'm putting on. But when doing this, it just basically distresses it and just makes it look less new. Basically, the goal is to make it look like someone took a pad to this paint and tried to get it off at some point. You know, just a bit of damage. As you can see, I do not care if I'm scratching the paint, like when I'm dragging it around on the floor. And that is mostly intentional. Now, as you can see, it's now looks quite a bit more aged. I think I'm going to add a little bit more detail though in places because oh, not that much. So you've got to control how much damage you actually do, but at this point, I mean, you can see that's all scratched up. Which you might say is terrible, but it's exactly the same effect I did on this one. And you can see now that they are heading towards being similar. It's just this one is really dirty and this one's mostly dirty. So now we're done with one of them, we've got to do the other. So we've got the other one. Now this one here, actually when I'm close up to it, it doesn't look as great. But like looking from the other side to the, looking from the other end of the room, I was just like, wow, that looks amazing. I mean, it doesn't really hold up under close scrutiny, but evidently someone with this one has been taking a great chance at it exploding. So it's starting to get there. Just a little bit more around the thing. And when I'm doing this, I'm trying to do it so it's rotating around. And the theory I'm using is that this thing will have been rolling around like that on those raised lips for all this time. As you can see, it's also like damaging the like the red is coming off on the Brillo pad. It's not your Brillo pad, sorry. It's just a generic scalp. sorry. Don't give people the ideas of what you're using, because it's not what I'm using. And of course this one I'm not paying as much attention to because, you know, it's a test to see if this design will work. It needs some more refinement, but you should be able to see the scratches on that. Okay, can you see them now? No, this lighting's just really bad for showing up because of the way I designed it. Very much a me thing, don't worry about that. So, I know I'm going pretty quick so far, but there's a lot of fine detail to do today and very little of just the running and yelling stuff that I usually get up to. I swear I saw a section on this before that like I'm going to need to put silver on that, and I've forgotten where it was. Well, that's the third colour I've had on me today. We can chuck that in too. I'm not going to be using the white again. So yellow. Let's get this yellow done, because I think that tank needs doing properly and it's nearly dry at this point. It's dry to the point that I don't care, which is the perfect point to be fair. But I've got to wait for this to dry before I can do the next bit, so... just a little bit. And... okay, so that looks very little difference from that camera, but it looks a lot better out here. So. Run across here. Just get this to be yellow because it's supposed to be, okay? Now, of course, under normal circumstances, I would be leaving the paint to like dry for an entire day, and if you're painting, like at least leave it for a few hours to dry. The way that I'm doing this now is very much rushing, and well, little bits down the back here that are still wet that are bugging me, but this is definitely going to require a second coat of yellow to be done properly. But the thing is though, most of the really big stuff I've got left to paint is this. I mean, it's lost its metallic sheen, but that works better for appearance and getting the colour right, because I'm no longer shining a ton of blue through the yellow, which is what's turning it green. And of course it is a heap of paint to do this, so, you know. Okay, so there you go, that is a coat of yellow. Let's chuck you back there. That yellow is very deep. Now of course it's probably not the exact yellow that you need for this prop, but also I don't care. You'll find that's a very common response from me though. Right, now on these I have to do grey. Where's my grey? Right, so this is just slate grey. And what I'm going to do is put a small amount of it in the tub. Like, I do not need much for this. So what I'm going to do is on each of these screws, so that screw, that screw, I'm turning them all into slot heads. So basically I'm just going to get the grey paint, do that across one side of it, and then that across the other side, and it'll leave a silver line down the centre of the grey, silver line down the centre of a grey bolt. Don't worry about how little that makes sense, it just needs to look the part, and then nobody cares. Again, it's a really small thing that you wouldn't really notice unless you were specifically looking for it. So I'm trying not to draw them all at the same angle. Now if you look there on those, you can see that they kind of look like they have screws in them. Someone severely stripped the head on that one. And that one's been beaten quite badly as well. And a lot of this stuff at this phase is just like go through and just add little bits of detail. Because in general, when you're making things, the further you get into the project, the smaller and smaller brush strokes you need. When it comes to the one that's going onto the prop, I want to make as little mistakes as is possible. Now ultimately, I have a choice with this, because I could have cut these at the start and done little notches in them. Essentially, I just went, yeah, that'll be too much time, can't be asked. So there you go, we've got little screws in it now. Oh wow, okay, no, you can't see what I'm doing there. So, I mean, all I'm doing is just like painting these little lines on, that's it. Now, to be fair, these things might well be supposed to be rivets, but I don't really care. I want my little nukes to look like I want them, and that's why I'm going to design and make this, because, you know, there you go. Now, to be fair, that is basically done with the grey, because all of the stuff on these ones are going to be nuts instead of screws. So again, that one's there. There's one more layer of paint to go, then I have to figure out how to get this stuff off, which is going to be fun. I mean, just look at that colour difference. I've got to like soak it in crap first. To be fair, crap is the best description for what I'm going to be doing. It's like I've got to make this thing look like it's 100 or so years old and covered in dirt. Okay, and flip over. I don't know why, but that display really is showing this yellow up to be or to be green, and it really isn't. Oh yeah, okay, no, it's the camera runs in RGB, and there's no yellow in RGB. No, stop that. Okay, so that is now yellow, which is great. Give that a minute, so give that a bit to dry. So, I can't reuse that yellow in anything else because of that, and we are now done with yellow because that was the last bit that needed it. Which means, yeah, okay, let's do this. So I mean, as you can see, none of this Fatman has any real detail on it. So what I have to do any form of fine detailing is paint. Which means that this grip down here has to have a bit of checkering on it, and there's a little screw back there. So what I'm going to have to do I know again this is barely visible. I don't even know if any of this will show up, but I am just drawing diagonal lines across it now. And so I mean, you can't see it, but I don't know if you can see that, the little lines. But that's literally all I'm doing under here. I'm just doing that, and then going to go around the other side. Like this. So now we've gone all the way around one side, and now it's just I mean, it doesn't look great, but we are talking very small final levels of detail here, so you can see them a little bit. of course, actual checkering pattern would be much tighter than this. And I know that. And I could actually get something that replicates that pattern. And to be fair, I would have, but unfortunately, as is an expression you'll hear a lot on this channel, there's a plague on. I mean, I would love there not to be. I could have, like, gone down the hobby store, picked up some EVA foam that is tiled very specifically for this job, and would do an amazing job of it. But here I am hand painting bits of detail. It's a little, no. There you go. Now it's got a little screw in there. Now, of course, we have some other little bits where I don't really care today. I'm just going to wash them all at the end. It's fine. So at this point, I'm going to be up the top here on the rails, just picking out bits of detail that aren't really there, but should be. See, the difference there is minimal, but it looks like that's now three-dimensional because there's a little bit of a line there, and it looks it from a distance, but not up close. And to be honest, like 90% of this work is just making it pass from a distance. If I was using stamped metal or thermoplastic, there would be a little gap there, but I'm not, and there isn't. Okay, is there anything else that I actually need to cover? That should have been done yet. Okay, and if yep, down there. Let's just add some lines. I mean, it does very little, but it does look a bit better because of it, and I'm okay with that. It has done very little, but that does not matter. So we'll put that there. The question is the yellow dry yet? Let's have a look where that thing on the tank is supposed to be. So it's supposed to be just after this strap, and this is supposed to have detailing on it that I don't have, so that's all to be added as well. So it's got itself a yellow triangle that's supposed to be about here, but realistically is there. I'm going to move it because that's enough. Little dangly bit. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. So that's officially a red, so we can chuck that in there. We're done. But now that most of that's dry, we can start to do the darker browns, because last time I did a really light brown coat, which was good. That's proper rust colour, but we also need a darker colour and a lighter colour to contrast. So let's get a little bit of this and trying to work out what's an appropriate size. I think that would work. So yeah, that first bit I did had way too much on it. My bad. It's oddly nice to do this. Wow, I forgot how much of a mess I made this thing. Well, it is like 200 years old. I mean, what would you expect, right? Okay, so we've done the outside now. Now basically, with this, I'm doing the darker stuff where there's like a really big patch. You know, it's had more time to form and it's got darker. There was a time I was planning to make this, try to make it look new. I mean, it did look new for a few days. And now that we've done that, of course, I'm not bothering with all of that stuff for the mini nukes because I should have done that. I hadn't bothered on that. My bad. Forgot about this one. I forgot about it on this because mostly because I just see this bit as a completed piece now. But yeah, essentially, I am happy making a complete pig's ear of this one because very few people are ever going to see it, for one. Okay, and been patinaed as well. Sorry, rusted, looking like dirt. Because it's meant to. So that can go in there. Going through them at 8 knots tonight, aren't I? Go over there, a little lunching tray. That I don't need yet because I need white and small. We don't need black anymore. We need very good, we're very small with a very good chisel head is the correct answer. Okay, no red came off. Oh, that one looks perfect. Okay, so I'm currently looking at an upside down version of this, so this is going to be fun. Then, hey, oh, my day was okay. Then, and how are you doing? What's up then? So, what we have is a sort of bit of, this is too big by a lot. So what we have here is a little bit of flame coming up like this. And of course coming up like that. We have another little lick by here. Then it ends up there. course on this side comes back down. Sorry for not paying attention much, this is actually quite a difficult bit to paint. Okay, and in the centre there is like a little bit that goes across, and there's a little bit like does that. Okay. It's not perfect, but okay, so now there's like wet bits of paint all over this that I have to be careful of, but little flammable symbol. Okay, so next up I have to do basically some paint lines and stuff like that. No, do not drink the paint. Drink the water. I did genuinely just nearly drink the paint. Oh, may have been at this too long. If it actually shows up that colour, that's perfect. Come on, out you get. Come on. Paint. Okay. Okay, let's flip that up. Okay, and of course a much thicker one down here. goes a really thin line up here. Okay, let's flip it up. Make sure we go all the way around with these little lines. And thank you. I think that's actually, those are dark enough. So, just get them out of that down there. Again, I found just put a soft amount on. Make that bit of mess. Let's grab a balloon. Let's do some more mass on this. Like that. Up here. And there. And I have no idea whether this is even visible or not. Just should do that with the light brown. Then get another chisel head. I'm probably going to run out of these soon. Pick up some of that. Spread that out. Just grab a little more. Oh, I have plenty of yellow paint. I am lacking in red because I'm about to run out of that. I used quite an excessive amount turning that yellow, but let's get that a little further just so it's outside. Uh-oh. Well, I'm glad that almost nobody will ever see back there. I mean, there you go, but I still have to go back and unmess up some of these little bits. Oops. Cocked up the edge of that again. Used too many straight lines. Oh well. I've done a lot worse than this. Rust doesn't naturally form in straight lines and nor does damage, so when aging things, be careful. Okay, so that is most of that. I mean, it does actually look like there's a lot of detail on that tank, doesn't it? But there is nothing. It's still just a perfectly smooth tank. Now if I get a bigger brush and when doing stuff like rust, it's important to use multiple colors for it. In fact, this one, if anything, is too bright, but may work better if you use more than 3 colours, but if you just use one, okay, let's flip you over. Ultimately, this last stage takes very little because you just want to dab little bits on. You don't want to have the whole thing hugely covered. So I'm poking this thing and it looks like metal when I'm poking it. I'm just like, why are you moving so much? And it's like, oh yeah, only weighs like a kilo at most. Yeah. Okay, and flip up. I mean, I don't even know if the camera's like going to pick up any of the stuff I'm doing now. So yeah, there's a lot of being quiet doing this, but... Right, so now we've got dark spots, light spots. I mean, that is one of the better spots, and it is a complete mess, as you'd imagine, but also entirely chromed. So last spot up, drop that in, just be done with it. Okay, and that is a complete pigsty, as it is meant to be. So now, yeah, I mean, we're not done yet because there is one stage left with the mini nuke, but there's only one colour in here, which means I could technically do those two tonight, because we have the time. So first off, I'm going to put this here and turn on the hot glue gun, because the next phase just the black sections of the unpainted just showing up so strong. It's like, well, yeah, they'll do that. So I'm actually surprised, but I'm very nearly done with this. I figured it'd have a bit longer, but there's only one phase left. Like once all this is done, which is sticking it together, and there's one bit of paint left before I stick it. So it really feels odd to nearly be done with this. What do I do next? Okay, so you go in the Oh wait, no, do not put them on the floor. So right, the last phase for the mini nukes is to give them a wash. Because as you can see, this one is much brighter than this one, because this one's coated in dirt. This one's basically got a brown wash over it, and this one doesn't. Now a question for this one, which I'm going to be testing out in a minute, is it better with or without the wash? Because, I mean, I like it like this, which means we can either finish today or next time. But it also means that the next time would literally be like, and that's it. Oh wow, that's freakingly light. So I just lifted this one up after lifting those two. And it turns out this one is weighted, this one is not. So I'm not going to go yet, don't worry. I'm waiting for this to heat up. I'm just trying to think of the schedule now, because I have to actually do something after this, and I thought I had like another week or so of this. I think. That does sort of work there, but that one worked better with the look of it. Ooh. Okay, where's the main body shots? Because I know I've done them. Scroll up through the pictures. Technically, this one, it needs a bit more dirt work on it. Okay, so this one needs some more dirt work on it before I stick it on. Yes, by dirt work I just mean stippling on brown paint. So yeah, I think we might actually be finishing this project very soon, which... Oops. I need a plan B. So I'm just like stippling loads of dirt over it because you know, it's a few hundred years old. It's not going to be as good as it was coming out of the factory. Everything's going to be a little bit of a darker colour. Now that is significantly dirtier. Oh yeah, don't do that. That is a bad way to test the temperature. Literally, the amount of times I have to say that I don't do what I'm doing, I should really stop doing what I'm doing. It's like, yeah, don't do that, or that, or that. In fact, most of what I'm doing is a bad idea. So let's start off. We put this glue in here. So that's the first section stuck. Thank you for the fresh spider webs. Got that there, and this here. And nothing that is under there will ever be seen again. Give that a few minutes to dry. So that's the reason why I go to so much detail underneath, because you can see through it and you can see if it's all rusted and damaged and painted under there. Okay, so now we've got the cradle in there. I can put the good one in. I mean, it looks the part. I don't see any real problem with that being done. I mean, I do, but that's because it's not the right nuke, because it's not the one made for it. The Mark V doesn't exactly fit because it's not detailed, but it's not bad. Give that some time to dry because it's still drying. And let's peel off this because you'll notice, remember I put the masking tape on there at the start? That is so I can have a clean surface to paint onto, or to glue onto. Hey look, it's the green strips I put on at the start. That's the same colour all the way around underneath. It's a heap of work, a heap of fun, but so yeah, we're actually finishing this. I am a bit bothered by that. Okay, so my carriage is in a little bit the wrong position. Whoops. Probably because I cut a bit out at some point to make it shorter, because it used to come out to here. So I'm going to have to fix that. Whoops. But I can't let it like lay down flat now, because put that along there. Grab that little spider's web and say goodbye to that arrow, because no one will ever see it again. Now he points out. Can you see it? There, the bit where I've put it a little bit misaligned, and you can still see the bright green. That's going to be a repaint. Oh well. I mean, we figured that kind of thing would happen from the start, so... Okay, and that bit at the back is just to secure it to the end of the launching car. I mean, it'll take a bit, but... So, I mean, the problem with doing this now is while I'm moving it around, I have to avoid... you know, jostling it and moving stuff. Okay, and stop that. Just hold it there for a few minutes, let all this stuff dry in place. This is the reason why I left it for so long. Like, that's the reason why I made a new nuke, because I knew it was going to be a permanent fixture. That wobble. Just straighten that out a little bit. And yeah, this thing is really odd to hold, but a little bit in there, see if we can deal with that wobble a little bit, because if you allow it to wobble like that, it will wobble loose and break. And nobody wants these things breaking, because this is a lot of work. Maybe looking down the barrel of a tactical nuke launcher is not something I should be doing. But unfortunately, that's it. I've finished. Right. So tomorrow I will be back to speedrunning Zelda, because, I mean, we know that's for the next 5 days. But I don't know what I'm building next. I will think about it, have a look through some prop designs, see what I want to make, and hopefully see you when I turn, well, hopefully see you all when I decide and come back. So, thanks for coming. Hopefully see you next time. Bye.